Hi. I'll have the number 11, but if you could, hold the phone.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the episode. We are here today with my friend Emma Dubin. Emma, how are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
I am doing very well. I got my coffee and I am ready to go. I appreciate you making the time
Yes.
for this.
I got my tea and I am definitely, yeah, of course. I actually have a lot more time these days.
Oh, I get it.
Kind
What kind of tea you got? I'm just curious.
What do I have? I have like a throat coat yogi tea that
Okay.
says the world needs your unique gifts. Don't leave with them still inside you.
Those are so much better than the fortune cookies. Like, I don't know,
Yeah,
the fortune cookies I've been getting have been ridiculous. They're like, you were eating at a Chinese restaurant. And I'm like,
right.
how do they
And you're
know?
like, that's such a realization. I know at least the yogi teas have like deeper insights that
Yeah, it's like something
I
you can
appreciate.
ponder for a bit as you drink your tea and look out at the sunrise. And you're like, yeah, this feels right. So
Yes,
shout out
yes.
to Yogi Tea. This episode is sponsored by,
Wow.
I wish, Yogi
Good.
Tea. If you're
Yes.
listening to this, I would
I
take a.
mean, this did come from a donation from Yogi Tea. So they did donate
Oh,
to some herbal hubs they
okay.
donated big boxes of tea or and so yeah, I actually got this particular tea from one of our herbal hubs in
Check
our
that out. Well,
Western
shout
North
out to Yogi
Carolina.
Tea. Thank you for what you're doing.
Wow.
Thank you for, yeah, thank you, Yogi Tea. Okay, so the reason we are here today, a quick backstory. So I met Emma totally randomly. It's kind of a funny story, a little bit ridiculous. So when my third book came out, I did not have a social media presence, and I was like, I need to get some early readers. So I put out a Craigslist ad in the like the artist section that was like, "Hey, I'm a local artist and author, and I'd love for any local artists and authors, anyone who wanted to check this out to like give this a read." And you messaged me, and that's how we met.
Yes. Yep.
So the rest is history, as they say. We've been friends on social media for a couple of years now. Um,
Supporting each other. Yes.
yeah,
Supporting the
but
art.
what I wanted to bring you in for, so you live in the Asheville area,
I do. Yep.
and I
I
re
technically live in Burnsville, North Carolina, and have lived in the Asheville area since 2016.
very good. Where were you from before that? Just out of curiosity.
I was born and raised in New York, different cities in New York, and then like Buffalo all the way to the Bronx kind of vibe. And then right before I moved, after New York, I moved to Northeast Tennessee,
Hmm.
a little town in Mountain City up near Boone.
Okay.
So I have a big heart for Northeast Tennessee, and then modeling and art brought me to Asheville, and eventually I ended up moving here.
Yeah,
Um,
and Asheville, I mean, is
yeah,
wonderful artistic hub. I mean,
it is
I
so
love walking
cool.
around Asheville and going to some of those galleries and things. I mean, it's just such a vibe.
It really is. It's one of the most gracious artist communities I've ever been a part of.
Right.
When I come from a New York artist scene, very cutthroat, and a lot of scenes are cutthroat. This
Yeah.
is a place where if someone can't do a job, they're going to recommend somebody else, or they're going to
Mhm.
make sure that that person who's looking for a particular artist gets really what they need. So it's very sharing and caring.
That's actually
My
a
experience.
beautiful, wonderful
Yeah.
thing. No, I kind of have that impression too. Like I've never lived there, but even just passing through, it just has this incredible energy that you don't see other places.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unique.
It really is. So the reason I really wanted to bring you into this podcast today, so following the Hurricane Helene story, and there's two pieces of this, and one of them is, Americans can really only hold on to a news story for 1 to 2 weeks, and it's not an insult as much as just there's
No.
so much in the news that like it's impossible to see a story through to its conclusion. A new
Right.
one pops up right when you wrap your head around one, some new major thing is happening, and we all get redirected, and it's just
Mhm.
the way it goes. But the second thing is, looking at the whole Helene situation from the outside, it wasn't clear what was happening. And for example, let's say the federal response and the federal government's response, like from the White House, and then mainstream media is like, hey, everything's fine, help is on the way, everyone's taken care of, things are good.
Yeah.
But then a bunch of people on social media who live there are like, I don't see this alleged help, and we're totally on our own out here. And it's just the community looking out for the community,
Mhm.
and we're coming together. And, you know, that's the reality. Like FEMA, I don't know where they are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I and we're going to dig into all of this, but I've been following you on social media,
Mhm.
and one thing that is very impressive to me is you've been not only boots on the ground, but like sharing a ton of information. So like
Yeah.
the impression I'm getting from your social media is that the community has really rallied around one another.
Mhm.
and just neighbors helping neighbors, and people are just sharing all kinds of resources. Here's where you can get water. Here's where you can go take a shower. Here's where you can get housing. Here's where you
Yeah.
can get food. And they have just stepped up and really brought forth the best in humanity.
Yep.
And so that's what I wanted. And you obviously, like, this is my impression from the outside, but I just want to know everything about you
Aw.
there. And I want to hear as, I want to shut up and hear as much from you as possible. So,
Well,
let's start with
thank
when the
you.
storm was coming in. Like, you were there on the ground watching this thing blow through?
Yeah, and I will say that in my experience, I feel, and for other people as well, our experience of Helene wasn't just this one day rain experience. It was the fact that we had a storm on Wednesday, 2 days before the storm was like what I call the precursor storm. And that
Mm.
precursor storm like brought, I think, 6 to 10 inches to us
No
in
kidding.
one day and caused flooding and road closures because of flooding. And
Yeah.
so there was this definite energy that I had on Thursday, the day before the storm, because work and schools were shut down because it was already like there's a lot of water. Oh wait, there's more water coming.
Right.
Uh, and there wasn't necessarily any big announcement of like, hey, this might, in my mind, it was something like, oh, the river's like down below. I'm higher elevation. I'm in Burnsville, Yancey County, and we're
Right.
higher up. So
So
it
like
wasn't in my mind.
white duck taco on the river. You're like, hey, you all better maybe scoot
Yeah,
in.
I was just like, oh, okay, people right near the river, like it's gonna get full. And I had a sense, I'm a sensey person, and
Mm.
so I had a sense to be prepared, like go fill my gas tank and
Get some
cook all my
clothes.
fresh food and make sure my food's prepared.
Right.
And so I felt very like prepared, but the storm started. I woke up, the storm for us in Yancey County and Burnsville started for me like around 4 a.m. I woke up like a minute before our power goes out.
Mm.
And I don't know how I woke up a minute before, whatever it was,
It's that
something woke me
intuitive
up.
something, right? You're like, hey,
And I appreciate thunderstorms and I really enjoy storms. Like thunder and storms are something I've constantly loved. And so I had my window cracked so I could listen.
yeah, you're
Um, yeah, and so basically that big energy or whatever it was between 4 and 4:30, it really like I felt it starting. So from 4:30 was when my first big tree fall I heard started, and then from
ooh.
4:30 till 10:30, so about 6 hours of tree fall, we had just an R holler.
So in terms
So
of,
our
let's say,
mountain.
in terms of like a
Yeah.
thunderstorm, I mean, was this like a different thing, or was this just, it was just like a big storm, or was it like, no, this was a storm? And
It it had such like for and again another thing I want to pre say about the mountains here and
Mhm.
why a lot of people didn't think we were going to get hit like we did is because like usually when storms hit the mountains, they dissipate, right? If they're
Mm.
coming from the coast, we do get rain and we get flooded here, but every little section and every little mountaintop and holler has different microclimates
Right.
that affect like the storms. And so the microclimate we had in Burnsville, we had a lot of high winds. And so it was like we had
Mm.
up to 90 miles per hour, especially on our back hillside. And the difference between a thunderstorm and this was like the power of the wind and like the way it just stayed and stewed. It felt like it stewed over us
Right. Like almost
for
maybe
like
got stuck coming up the mountain and just fell. It just
yeah.
dropped
Yeah,
everything.
and just like that's how we got all that just like dump of rainfall that just didn't keep moving. It just stayed and um yeah, so the wind power that I experienced was something that was like, whoa, like it felt super powerful. And we
Right.
would have times where the big winds, we had regular wind, and then there would be like this crescendo of like high screeching wind. And
Mm.
then when that big wind came, that's when our trees would topple. So like from the
Yeah.
roots, like big trees, not little babes or mediums, they're like the large ones, um, which caused then the landslides and the earth to not be stable because big rooted trees usually hold the earth
They hold it
together.
all together. Yeah. And I've seen some videos of like, there was one guy he filmed a mudslide in his backyard that like passed right by his porch. And I'm like, I would not be standing there.
Yeah.
Like, that thing
Yeah.
could take your whole house down the mountain like nothing.
Definitely. Definitely, definitely. And I don't think at that time I was even like thinking there could be landslides as a problem during the storm at all. I was just like, okay, wind, trees, be aware of like that. But then
Right.
come 8 o'clock in the morning, I look out, and the little baby creek next to our road is now my whole road's a rushing river with
Looks like the
like
French
my
Broad. You're like,
neighbor's septic and stuff rolling down it and like like
yeah,
um it was something, and I'm very grateful to be okay,
right,
and not to
right,
be like, hey, I could tell this story. And the power of it, just yeah, the power of it was something that I think is very unique to all of us who have experienced this.
right.
Uh,
I meant to ask you for right from the get-go. Like, obviously, you're okay. Your
yes.
family, your closest people, everyone's okay.
Yeah, some were hospitalized, some lost everything, some, are my computer is jumping around. I don't know if it's jumping around on
No, no,
you.
looks good here.
Okay. Um, yeah, some I know, yeah, I don't know how, I haven't counted how many friends either lost all of their like artist space, studio space, home, both together. So I have plenty of people that I know who have like
Starting over.
even
I mean, like
yeah, yeah.
everything they have is gone.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, I'm not being like, I have 50 friends like that, but I'm like, there's a handful. And then, the people who made it out alive, I have a
Right.
particular friend who, had to like surf the wall of his house out while a landslide was coming to collapse on him. And he was saved by a family of first responders who had to rappel down to his area. It was just, yeah, there's some wild stories out there.
I
And I
believe
think
it.
that's what I realized quickly
Hmm.
after I started talking with my neighbors, um, was like, okay, I have a very scary story, but there's so many horror stories to this experience.
Yeah.
Helene. And, I think that's a lot of what some people are looking at. Some of us are kind of looking at other people's problems and being like, oh, that wasn't as bad, that was worse than mine, so maybe mine doesn't matter. But I think it's important for all of us to acknowledge the experience that each of us individually went through and
Right.
like give it its validity, and
Right.
also hold space for that, but also hold space for, the other ones who really need other help holding them up right now.
It's a delicate balance. You made me
It's
think of this, but one of these things is like human beings, I guess all empathetic, non-psychopathic human beings have mirror neurons. And it
Yep.
means that like you can watch an experience and to a degree feel it inside of you as if you're the one living it too. Which is
Yeah.
why guys are always screaming at the football screen as if like they're on the field and it's like, dude, you're on your couch. Um,
Right, 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 right.
right. But for you, even like looking at your community to be like this, like, okay, even if you're okay, even if your home is okay, to see your community, this place you know and love, to see these neighbors that you've known forever,
Yeah.
to see like how easily it can get washed away, destroyed, ruined.
Oh yeah.
There's an impact, even if nothing happened to you, your health, your
There's
property, seeing
yeah.
is it's got to mess with you a bit, right? I mean,
I appreciate you bring that up because I think that's something that's happening for every single individual who is in this Appalachian area that was affected by Helene. And
mhm,
whether they realize it or not, whether they're like mentally aware that going through that experience creates a certain disconnect. Like for me personally, um, so we were trapped, and not just trapped from our house and our driveway. We also had landslides in from our property into our road that ate away our road. And then the road that we used to get out of our neighborhood had 5 feet of mud in it because the river had like totally washed away and ate the asphalt away. And
right,
so we were actually like this whole entire mountain holler neighborhood that we created our own sub society to like hold each other strong
right,
and
right, right,
shared resources. We're able to, give each other the strength by neighbor to neighbor, helping neighbor as you could, or at least in our section, that's everyone was just a very heartfelt, able to help person,
yeah,
which is part of the beauty of humanity, just putting some other stuff aside and just coming from the heart. Um,
You know,
yeah,
as terrible as it is, I had this, I'm finishing a story and I got stuck right before this podcast, but
yeah,
I had this line in my head that like a torch can't do its best work in the dark.
yeah,
And it's like
right.
somehow situations like this, as horrible as they are, they also showcase why humanity matters, why
Yeah,
we're worth saving, why there's some quality of us that is like angelic, divine, sacred.
yeah,
And only in an emergency can it really, and only in a very dark place can that torch actually like show its light kind of thing.
yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah,
And that's
because
kind of what you saw.
yeah, it's what I saw, and even with our brains, like I can say that for me, I feel I've written poetry and stuff about this because I just like I have to.
I can tell actually that
I
you're just
cannot not
excited.
art about this. It's so heavy and there's a lot to process. But I think that for me personally, like my brain definitely feels as jagged as like the messed up river that's by my house. Or, there's parts of me that still feel dangling, like I still have power lines that are dangling outside my house and,
Right.
destruction. So like when it's in our environment every day and our environments affect us, like the
Right.
mental. And
Inner
so
world and outer world, or like to
yeah,
clear your mind, clean your house. But
yeah.
like if the
And you
whole
can,
neighborhood is destroyed, you're like, I can't even think, I can't process,
right.
you know.
And so there's this constant, I believe there's this constant re-shock value happening for some people and a lot of us where we think, like I had the other day, I was like driving out of my home and I know the river and everything looks crazy and messed up and different, but I had this one moment where I didn't remember, I was in my own little head
Got
and
some
I turned
music
the
maybe.
corner and I'm like, oh, ugh.
You're like, yeah, it looks like a war happened here or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I
so there
forgot we were.
Yeah. And so there's these disconnects. I feel this is my word for it. I'm not licensed therapist, but I am pretty emotionally intelligent, I believe. There's these disconnects that are happening in our reality here because what we've learned was, especially for people who have, full geological changes, like, the river has changed, the mountainside is no longer the same, homes, etc. We're just adjusting to this new reality. And I still feel, even for myself, that I'm still in this adjustment period. I'm still like, wait, I remember how that used to look. And
Right.
you're trying to put these pieces together and they don't actually, you're like, they don't actually line up. So there's a lot of uh honoring, I suppose, that I'm doing of just like, I honor where you're at now, river or land or
Right.
destruction. And I also am just, pretty focused on the recovery. That's why you see a lot of me posting information because it brings me hope. Like the amount of recovery and amount of people that are helping other people is bringing me such hope. Um, and yeah, that's part of my mission, I suppose, since Helene is to share and gather, is to gather, organize, and share the information in the most concise, like way that I feel. You get what I'm saying?
Right. I've learned more. I mean, firstly, everything you said, it gives me so many thoughts. And like, I mean, this podcast could branch into our multi-hour discussions on so many different things. But I want to also just make this as valuable as possible for like
Thanks.
the people, well, your time, the people in the Asheville community, and then for anyone watching this, just to like understand like what really happened there and everything. What I loved about all of your posts is, I mean, anytime you came across like, all right, this group or this organization is gathering in this place to offer this resource, you were sharing that with just as many people as you could find, kind of thing. So it's like, hey, and I saw some of them were like hot showers, like things that you wouldn't think of unless you're like in that situation. Like, God, I haven't had a shower in a week. Like,
Totally.
nothing would give me more peace right now than like just to like clean off and reset and have a quiet moment, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You were sharing all of that. So, I don't know exactly where you want to go with the conversation, but like I don't want to get like political or anything like that. I'm curious if you saw FEMA or
Mhm.
like, what they were up to or anything,
Yeah.
or
I
what
have
you saw.
yeah, I think from so the experience I had, again, this is where we got to understand that this is 500 miles of destruction in an Appalachian area, Northeast Tennessee and Western North Carolina, with so many mountain roads and cuts and hollers that it's like there's a lot of area to cover. The area where I lived, woo, woo, thankfully, was near a highway, one of the
Mm,
main highways, and there was a lot of attention put there. So I did see a little bit more. So when we, let's say on day 4 it was,
Hmm.
that's when we had helicopters, like National Guard helicopters, coming into our mountainside to get people
Nice.
off the top. And we were officially evacuated. It was like your area is not safe. Well, like that's how it was. It was like search and rescue's coming through. If there's more water coming at all, any rain, your area is not safe,
Mm.
and so there was an evacuation that happened for our neighborhood. And
Okay.
on my way out of that evacuation, I was going to a safe house in near Asheville,
Hmm.
um, with solar and like Starlink and stuff. A friend came
Nice.
out to like help us get out. And I saw like what are they called? Virginia, like the rescue teams with boats and horses, and I saw those
Mm.
people coming in. And I can say this from my understanding in the bureaucracy of FEMA is that FEMA contracts people. Like, right, that's what I've
It's
learned.
kind of like they don't actually have people, but they're like
There's
organizing and gathering the money and
yeah.
distributing and contracting.
So that was like in my head, I was like, oh, obviously probably the bureaucracy of these things is, this is my opinion, is
Mhm.
that I have not actually seen FEMA's presence until like a couple weeks after. And
Oh,
that's when they were
interesting.
starting to show up with their like, we need to come make hubs so that we can help people put their application and everything in.
Right.
Um, so maybe it wasn't like that's just my experience. My experience was like, oh, there was people helping, and there was like it seemed governmental or like statewide, and
Right.
then, like FEMA response part. I knew that I could apply for FEMA by day 5. Like I
Okay.
knew I could apply for it, but did I see the like that that part just made me question like, do I actually understand how FEMA works? That's like where it brought to me was like maybe those tree like because I know people who are tree workers who have before gone to destruction zones and they were
Mhm.
contracted in. So I was like, maybe there's
Right.
just a lot of contractors that are like working for these agencies that we just don't know these facts.
They kind of get the official call.
Yeah.
There
But
was a
it is an issue. It's not like it's not the FEMA stuff hasn't necessarily been easy for people. It's some people have had it easy, and I can tell you what, like my process has been very long, and when you're already going through destruction and your head's all crazy and you're having to fill out paperwork and the
Mhm.
paperwork isn't like the right thing, it wears on people, and some people have just given up with FEMA and are just gonna like go through charities or go through private groups.
Yeah,
And thank
church
goodness those,
organizations, whatever it may
Mhm.
be.
Yeah, and thank goodness those are there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of stories from the outside, and it's impossible to tell if they're true. But a couple examples. One was like allegedly there were some people with like private helicopters and boats who were trying to come in and rescue people, and they were told like, "Go home, we have it under control." I
Yeah.
heard a story where FEMA came in and they're like, "Okay, we need room and space for all of our people," so they booked all the local hotels, and they're like, "Oh wait, the people who live here have nowhere to stay since we booked the hotels,"
Yeah.
and things like that. And you're like,
It got messy.
yeah.
They did do an official apology 2 weeks ago, though. They
Oh,
did
did
like
they?
person. Yeah, I watched it. I was like, oh, they're apologizing because their response was slow. And then that slow response then helped the North Carolina fire marshal last week
Mhm.
pull building permits. And so that gives a leeway for people who need to like just like hustle up and build that tiny home that's not to regulation because North Carolina has a lot of regulations
Yeah,
and
yeah.
smaller structures. So yeah, FEMA was slow in my opinion. uh,
Well, thank
yeah,
goodness the community. So, like, it did seem like the community did rally around the community, which is what's interesting is normally it'd be like the town next to you is the one that comes through. Like, realistically, in an emergency, the first people to help you are going to be the community next door. But in this instance, there were so many destroyed communities that it's like the nearest help is nowhere nearby, right? Like, everyone around me is equally devastated.
yeah.
But it did
There
look
was
like, go
there
ahead.
were some pockets. Sorry, yeah, go ahead with what you're
Some
saying.
pockets like where people were okay and they're like, hey, we're because we're in a good position, because we have some food and water stocked up, we can start kind of coordinating the people kind of thing.
Yeah, or the places there's specific what I call oases, and I saw them pretty early on.
Hmm.
little pockets throughout Northeast Tennessee and Western North Carolina where they didn't get as much rain and they didn't get as much wind. And so their power came back on with less than a week.
Mm.
And so, or even a few days. I know an area like Mars Hill, which is close to me, they had
Mm.
power within a few days.
No kidding.
And then Johnson City wasn't even touched at all, which was very needed. I think Johnson City, Tennessee
Yeah.
wasn't even affected. And that was really, I think, a very strong, good stronghold for a lot of the Tennessee, Northeast Tennessee relief.
Like
For
where like the people could come from, or maybe where people could go to like get help and
Yeah, to
resources.
go and get their resources, because that's what it was. Resources, I mean, like by day four, like a little gas can was like $40. So it was just like, yeah,
Oh,
resources were scarce or
dwindling
unknown.
and
The
yeah,
way that my hauler prepared was for 5 weeks without any resources. Like by day two, that's why I'm like, I have a lot of homesteaders, ex-military, and a lot of smart folk on my side of the mud,
they're
which helped.
prepared, right?
Yeah, and we were all just able to bring our, no one hoarded anything. It was like a generator. We have 3 generators. One goes to a well, one goes to a deep freezer, and the other one goes like for people who needed that other one.
Right.
Uh, yeah, so
So like, give
I
me
think I
one
might have.
second. My dog is pawing at my door.
Okay, it'll be tea time.
Oh, oh, really quick. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. Good girl. I don't know if you can see her in the.
Oh, she's cute.
That's Dolly Parton.
Oh, that's fantastic. Dogs are great. Animals are great.
Animals are great. I like them a lot.
Yeah, I guess that's something I could talk about that's not on I don't think that's being covered by the news, is the animal and farmer situation out here is kind of,
Okay, tell me. Like, I haven't heard a thing about that. So tell me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is secondhand information. I do want to say that wait, second and first hand. I have farmers in my neighborhood, so I have their information, and then the secondhand information is coming from like our people in our county who are
Okay.
sharing this information. So a lot of like farmers lost livestock, land. There a lot of land and property, obviously is either washed away or is completely changed.
Right.
But there is a point that unfortunately happened, especially in our county, Yancey County, and I'm sure it happened in Mitchell and other counties, that farmers had to put their animals down or sell their livestock way early because they didn't have way to feed their animals. A lot of
Right.
it was I've heard that they had to put a lot of livestock down. Because there just wasn't areas for them to graze, there wasn't feed for them to have. There's been some hard, and farmers are already hard working.
Right.
They're
And
one of our
they're
hardworking backbones of America.
right and
And
barely hanging on a lot of times, right? I mean,
yeah, it's you work really hard most of the year. So that's been something interesting. There's a lot of support for those transitional places, but you can't really support when you're like, there is no land for your animals to go on to anymore.
right, if they're
Um,
pasture cows or something, and people
yeah,
may not know this, but like each cow is worth thousands of dollars. I mean, it's
yeah,
like it's an investment, and I mean, you're, feeding them, taking care of them for months, maybe years even. And then also like, oh, this is a whole other thing. I didn't realize people even like save sperm and embryos from cows and things and have them in
they do.
freezers. So like losing power, I mean, I'm talking like the amount of businesses destroyed, homes destroyed. I mean, it's actually incomprehensible if you were to look at all of it. I mean, it's so many
We can't even
livelihoods.
compute it. We live here.
I mean, from the outside, and it's so much easier to like from the outside ignore it and move on to the next news story. But I know that like the next time I go to Asheville, I will not recognize it. Like even if everything is cleaned up, like the
Yeah,
river's in a new spot, so many places I have been to, restaurants we've eaten at,
yeah,
places we used to walk. I mean, they're never going to be the same.
it's true.
And I don't know what's going to come back in there, if anything, right? I mean,
Yeah. The one thing I can say though is that area, especially like the River Arts and all of that in Asheville, that
mhm,
really got let's say business wise devastated.
mhm,
Swannanoa is very home devastated, residential devastation. There was 2 rivers in Asheville, Buncombe County, the Swannanoa River and the French Broad, and both
French
of them
fries.
brought devastation.
Yeah.
What I can say is artists have to art, and that's how we usually heal. And that's what we do. We create. And so I'm like, you're just going to make us create harder. And that's what I truly deeply feel in my heart of hearts. Sure, we have to process a lot of stuff, but like artists are always going to art. And that's my personal opinion. I could be very wrong.
No, I,
Um,
I think you're right. And I love
Part of how
that
we process
expression, artists are
light.
going to art. I
Yeah.
love that expression. I think of it as like transmuting or filtering. Like
It
an
is.
artist has an experience and then articulates it so that it can be understood by people who didn't have to live it, you know? Um,
Yep.
and I imagine there will be some beautiful and tremendous art that comes out of this whole thing, but
Yeah.
it's a long path to healing, yeah?
It's a path. It's a big long path. And the road to like recovery is so long. Like even in like yeah, the road to recovery, we are still doing search and rescue and recovery. That's another thing that isn't necessarily going to get lots of news feed right now because it's such a weird situation and it's not
Right.
it's a grisly one. It ain't pretty.
No.
It's really grisly. There's still like I will say in the off of the Cane Rivers where I live and the road that I have to drive on still has like tags where search and rescue teams got hits. And what happens is like search and rescue comes and then recovery teams come to recover whatever those teams found. And it's
Right.
just so many miles of river that they have to cover with the thought that there's also livestock mixed in there along with humans.
Right. We
And
we
so
don't know
it's
what
just
we're gonna pull up, right? And
yeah,
it
it's
could be
so grisly.
anything.
And I know that search and rescue teams have there's hubs here that have set up year-long bases for them to be able to base out of. Like a
Like
year, I know that one particular in Weaverville that has set up for a year long.
like they just know this is how long it's gonna take before we reasonably get to
I
all of
guess. Yeah, right. Let's say I'm not, I don't know, like, I just know what information I'm learning. And I'm like, oh, wow, they need a one for a year. Okay,
it.
that
Right. What
probably
does
means
that mean? You're like, oh no,
like
yeah.
there's a lot more work to do, which I can see because they just work different sections of the river and there's lots of different rivers that need to be worked all the way from golly, Chimney Rock all the way to Northeast Tennessee, and that's a long way.
Right. I
Yeah.
just out of curiosity, I've spent a whole lot of time in God, the name is Hot Springs.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything, but I imagine because they're right on the French Broad and like the downtown is in a very like low valley. I
Yeah.
imagine that they're in deep trouble. I haven't heard a thing about it, but I don't
Right.
imagine they did so well.
It's no, I will say I don't have as much information in my head
Mhm.
technically about hot springs besides what I know from my friends.
And I would take that
And
just,
yeah,
people
and I
who,
know that they're definitely in recovery there and have been cleaning out. It's odd that I'm like, wow, I've only seen pictures of the recovery process there. I haven't actually, I'm like, I want to go find pictures and information about this. And I know they have hubs there still ongoing, but that's the reality for a lot of small towns. You know how many small towns are in these mountains?
oh, they're tucked away in
It's,
every
there's,
single
yeah.
valley, holler, wherever. They're all over the
Yeah,
place.
and
Yeah.
it's yeah, and some of them have like there's one Relief North Carolina, they got up to the highest I heard they got up to 40 feet with the Cane River, which is the same river I'm on, but it's just because it was a valley,
It
like a
narrows right there or
tighter
something,
night.
or like a choke
Yeah.
point and it just bundles up or something like that.
Yeah. And so there's just like I think there's just a lot of these lots of this destruction in so many places that of course the media is going to focus on like the bigger Asheville or like just want to know these
Yeah, like
bigger
the main cities or main hubs with all the people, but they also, depending on what media, like they have a vested interest in saying that everything's fine or saying that everything is way worse than it is. So it's like so unclear from the outside. Like one of
yeah
these things, the guy in social media, and this was just someone on the ground, was saying like talking about saying that the numbers of dead and missing are wildly underreported and that
hmm
like when you're walking by the river like you can smell it kind of thing. I
hmm
don't know if you've seen or smelled, I mean anything like that it's like it's that
well yeah so that's why okay so like that's not just because of that but because of how my neighborhood did have search and rescue dog teams come that I
bad.
was
Right.
like wait why hasn't the recovery team come like literally this was hit in October October, mid-October was when this search and rescue, October 20 something. And
Hmm.
we're in December and the recovery teams haven't made it to us yet or up the river either because they're
Right.
downriver at these places where the river got so high and pushed all these houses and stuff into, different islands. So personally for me, I can be like, no, I haven't smelled anything.
Hmm.
I also that area that I don't necessarily like roll down my window at that area of my road.
I don't think I would.
But I
Yeah.
say a prayer, I sure as heck do. And it's a very somber place for us. It used to be a place where people would go swimming and fishing, and
Right.
it seems so somber because you're just like, one, the river doesn't look the same color. It used to be crystal clear with mica running through it. I live in a mineral
Ooh,
rich, very beautiful area, and this
right.
river is not a pretty green color. It's not clear. Um, not sure. And that's another part for the farmers who had all this water dump into their land
Like dirty
that they're,
water too. It's like,
yeah, that they're not having to test, their mud. Can they even farm there again? Like there's so many. But that's why I follow so many search and rescue teams because I'm just like, if there's, I had to give up my answer around like, how many are missing? Why isn't the media like, it doesn't seem balanced or, there's so many different options on this that I'm like, well, I'll just follow the crews that are actually doing the work and be patient and just accept that this is a mystery that I don't actually know the answer to right now.
right.
Um, and hopefully within a year or summertime will be a little more illuminated. But
Mm,
what I understand is like a lot of stuff got rushed down river, or technically
right.
like French Broad flows north. So
Interesting.
so some of it got north, some of it got pushed to Tennessee. Um, yeah, it's a little messy, and water does things to like two bodies. So it's not just like,
Yeah, I've heard that.
yeah, yeah.
Luckily, I
So
have
that's
not had to
originally
experience
why
that.
I
But
used to
I,
work.
I imagine being a search and rescue person that has got to
Oh.
hopefully they can get counseling and yeah, all the things they
Mhm.
need after this is all done and bounce back
Yeah,
from that and come back to
yeah.
baseline life that doesn't have all this gruesome, horrific kind of things.
I hope. I
Yeah.
definitely have read a lot of deep-hearted messages from those teams, like, because they do it for a certain amount of time and then they have to like rest their dogs and rest their team. So they go back home, re-up for a couple weeks or a month, depending on the team, and then they come back in. So there's this
Yeah.
like lap of teams working these different areas.
Probably for the
And
best. And hopefully they can at least talk to
yeah,
one another because like I mean that I'm sure that's an experience that none of us will understand, but all of them there will understand and at least they can hopefully lean on each other like, yeah, this is crazy.
yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure they absolutely have to or do. I hope they do. And I just keep praying, like I'm definitely one for prayer and energy.
Right.
And
Right.
so, I can't necessarily be physically there doing those things, but I can sure like pray that they're like guided in the right ways and have the support and protection that they need,
Yeah.
And that's from a place of love. Like not everyone has the same idea around prayer, but I'm like, it's from a place of love. It's love energy. It's good.
I think,
I know.
prayer is free, right? So like
Yeah.
if you're watching this, even if you don't believe in prayer, I mean, just put out something for our neighbors in Asheville because I mean, these are
Southern Appalachia. Yeah.
Southern Appalachia. These are our, neighbors. These are our fellow Americans. These are good people who are going through just a terrible thing. And if there's nothing else we can do, at least saying a prayer is,
Thank
something. Yeah.
Right. That's real. Like that's how I feel because I have plenty of stories from people and even my story, like of just when the prayer started for our area and whatnot. Like
Mm,
you could literally see a difference in the weather. For me personally, I had this one freak hour of service where I messaged my family to be like, how
I'm
long?
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm okay and like pray for us. Like I didn't know we were gonna get hit. And I remember the last text I got before my service went kaput
Yeah.
and or however long, many, many, many days. And that moment when someone's like, yeah, I'm praying for you, and like the amount of weather that's
Like
happening
the
starts
clouds
getting
opened up
lighter.
and
Yeah, and you're just
yeah, the
like,
ray
oh
of
my
God
God.
shines down and you're like, oh, the light, the sun, I
Yeah.
can see it.
Or the amount of people that have lived through this that are like, the fact that I lived through this
Something's
means
got
there's
my back. Yeah.
something something big is looking over me, or angels or however. There's a lot of silver linings if you can find them. Okay, cool.
I'm sorry, I'm silly because I didn't have it record. We got kicked out, now we're back, and I just wanted to finish with Emma's final thoughts on this. And you were telling me a second ago about this gentleman, and I'd love if you could repeat.
Yeah. So we're just, yeah, just the amount of humanity helping humanity has been, right, like you said, Greg, was making like us feel very proud, and it really touches our hearts. And there's something that this one gentleman said to me this over the weekend. I was at one of our hubs, local hubs in Burnsville, and now mind you, this man lost his business. He lost his mama's home where him and his family grew up and lived. And he said this beautiful thing that was just like, I have cried more over the things that I've received than over the things that I've lost. And I looked at him, I was like, I know exactly what you mean.
Right,
You're the fact that I can go into an old Fred's, like an old like Kmart like store that has been taken over by our fire department with all of our donations, and just go get my toilet paper or my soap, or just these little things
right,
that help me and others get by. Like, I have definitely, my work was affected, and I had to leave my home for a while, so there's just different things.
right,
But the hope is there because like people are helping people. It isn't like us just sitting like, sure, it would be nice if we had some little army of whatever American soldiers. Like, yeah, I mean, there are American soldiers up here working.
yeah, yeah.
I'm getting all over the place because I'm getting passionate.
It's good. No,
We
I
are
appreciate that. This is, I mean,
passionate about the amount of help that's come, because all of that help, whether it's for a toy drive, bikes, heaters, we're getting like Lowe's has donated so much to help rebuild like sheetrock, and like a lot of these places can't demolish
right,
because you have to clean out everything and rebuild from the inside out. It's just, there's so much. And it brings us hope. And you know what? Hope helps us from falling into despair. And the despair places are very easy to trip and fall into around here, especially if you're just getting a moment alone to process, or if you're
right,
driving. And so the donations, the prayers, the amount of humans, just humans helping humans, neighbors helping neighbors, whether, whatever state you're coming from. I've seen people from New York. I've seen people from like all over. I'm a New Yorker, so I'm like, New York.
well, hey.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of, from my perspective, again, like this is my perspective that I'm sharing and how I've seen it. And there's other people who have seen different things than me and haven't been in different situations. So I just,
Yeah,
yeah.
with that caveat. But no, I really appreciate it because honestly, everything you just described is how I feel even following your social media is like,
Mhm.
I've never been so proud to be an American,
Yeah.
right? Like there's all this devastation, but there's all these people coming together and just like doing the right thing, sharing their resources,
Yep.
dedicating their time and energy. And, if they're feeling blessed and abundant because like we got through it, we're okay. We have a little stockpile of food, we have some extra
Yep.
water. Let's help out our neighbors, these other people. Like let's all hold each other up. It
Yeah.
makes me so proud to be a
Yep.
part of this American thing, right?
It just forms, yeah, it makes me very happy. And it brings me, yeah, it also brings me a lot of pride to just be able to see this response from our fellow country people, like this isn't necessarily all trained people that are coming in. Some people are just coming in to volunteer and just stay for a couple of days, and like that's beautiful.
It all makes a
Um,
difference. Yeah.
yeah, and or even like the church drives or the food drives, or like all these little things are all helping hold this area together. Because when you fall into despair, a lot of dark things start happening. And
Right.
like
And
that's what I'm seeing is like, I feel like all of this pouring of help has helped alleviate that despair.
right.
Big,
Like you would think like, okay, like if it was just your home, right? And let's say it burned down, what you would
yeah,
feel is despair about like everything you lost. But like all your neighbors are going through this, but you still see people showing up, coming together, trying to laugh, trying to, hand a
you
toy
have
to
to
a
laugh through
kid.
this.
Right.
Like
And
you have to. It's
everyone is holding.
hard.
I mean, Because I mean, despair would be the default state, right? Like nihilism, hopelessness, anger,
Yeah.
frustration,
Yep.
worry
And it's still
would,
there. Hmm.
and those are probably the more natural emotions when dealing with something like this. But just all the people trying to shine a light, it's like bringing out the
Yeah.
light in everybody else, right?
That 100%. Because like once someone gets stabilized enough, like right, like once I feel like once people get stable enough, and if they're able, whether it's whether they have vehicles or funds or any of that, if they're
Or even
able
a
to
change.
help and give back, I feel like that people are, and that we're talking local people too who have gone through this experience, still finding energy and time to give back. Because the way that our mountains and everything and roads and hollers and all these nooks and crannies, like you have to have the locals involved in order to get the help to all the areas.
Right.
Because yeah, and
No, things are
there's
tucked away. I mean, these are remote areas. And
yeah,
I mean, people, if you've never been there, I mean, it is essentially a rainforest in a lot of
it
places.
is.
It is so dense with like forest. And I mean, even from a scientific perspective, that area is so valuable for like the biodiversity, the
It is.
different amounts of plants and animals. I mean, there's so many like undiscovered bugs. And I mean, it
Yeah.
is a wonderful, rich, beautiful area that is just like one of the most naturally beautiful places in this country. But you need local guides to get to the spots because like
Yeah.
they are back there. Yeah.
Got to know how to drive a mountain road for sure.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the mountain roads are much rougher or they're not there and it's getting rebuilt.
Right.
Um, and that's just what I want to share is there's plenty of places that have that people and houses that don't have access to even drive their vehicle out or a lot of stuff is ATV still.
Right. There's still stuff back
Or
there.
elderly people getting wellness checks if they're living
Right.
farther out there. So
Is
again, thank
there
you. Like this is my experience and from my perspective of being a Yancey County, living in Yancey County and having this
right?
go down.
You're too polite with the caveats.
Ah,
Like no, this is what I see and this is real life and this is you're like very specific and very
well,
diplomatic.
because I have people from different areas, like friends that have had, we've all, a lot of my friends and people that I've talked to, we have different layers of this experience. And so I
Right.
feel like that's important to share, like you said, little small town areas. Like I actually don't know how much Hot Springs has gotten help or these other small town little areas. I do, um,
You don't speak on behalf of everyone who's gone through this.
that's pretty much what I'm saying when I'm like, yeah.
And that's fair. And it's, probably very wise. And I probably need to kind of adopt similar.
Aw,
I just throw stuff out there and I'm like, wait, no, okay. But
this is how it is.
this is how it is, I declare. And no, but it is appreciated. So
Thanks.
before we go, and I'm not sure if you can necessarily answer this question, but is there
Mhm.
anything, people like myself from the outside who are still interested, anything we can do, like anything still needed or organizations that like, they're still out there every day? I mean, and anything that comes to mind.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Prayers are always needed. I'm like, this is the exciting part. This is where I can be like, here's information. So prayers are always needed, of course. I can share 4 places that have been here. We'll start with Be Loved Asheville. And they have already been serving the community before Hurricane Helene and helping like homeless population, food, and all of that. And they have just stepped it up. They've made tiny homes, they've created tiny home villages.
Mm.
They're boots on the ground. They're never going to
Relentless.
leave Asheville because they are part of Asheville.
Right, right. They're not just
Yeah,
coming in like, no, this is our community and we are
yeah,
relentlessly trying to serve it.
very much service of love. And then, so that's Be Loved Asheville.
Okay.
There is another one is the Mana Food Bank, also something that was established in Asheville. Their whole warehouse was taken out because of the flood, but they're reestablishing food for the greater community.
Right.
Grassroots Aid Partnership,
Okay.
GAP. And that is also like helping make sure everybody gets hot meals, gets fed, gets fresh food. And they're associated with Dr. Bronner soap. And so
Oh,
they're bringing a lot of like the clean, that like really like one love soap, yeah,
the
aspect.
Castile and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in my county, which is Yancey County, and which serves Yancey and Mitchell, which is
Mhm.
like Spruce Pine and all these other Burnsville, other little towns, Pensacola, and a lot of places that are still rebuilding our roads. And people don't have like much access, and we're yeah,
Mm.
it's wild, still pretty wild out here. Those two hubs here that you can still donate and pay attention to. One is Rebuilding Hollers, and you can find that rebuildinghollers.com.
Okay.
And the other one is Bald Creek Relief.
Nice.
So those are my like, there's so many more, but those are the ones that I'm like, these are people who are both of the ones I named in Burnsville, the Rebuilding Hollers and Bald Creek Relief are
Mhm.
all citizen ran and created nonprofits that started because of Helene. Like it started
Okay.
as just a couple donations and now they're nonprofits that are just going to keep serving. Um, and those places can also tell you like kind of if you went on their websites, whether it's Facebook or websites, there's donations still needed, still tarps, still heaters, sheetrock, building material, hay, feed, you know, these things that are going to help people who haven't had income and have had their livelihood taken away. That's what's going to help us get through winter and then the rebuilding process.
See,
Yeah.
that's another thing to consider, right? I mean, yeah, we're going into the cold season,
Oh yeah.
and there's a ton of people without homes, and so after this podcast, if you don't mind, I will have you, if you can, send me the names or links. I will put them in the description.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my best to promote this video, but I
Yeah.
want to just like give people access to these organizations. I won't make them search. Like, look, the links are just there, little
Thank you.
description. Here's what they do, and if you have anything at all that you can give and donate, or and if you can't, that's okay. I understand times are
Yeah.
hard, groceries are crazy.
You can
Please
support and share a post.
share
Like
a post.
sharing information is helpful too.
All right, I was going to let you go on an epic rant about gratitude, and I'm ready to just like let you just go in the.
Uh, Well, that's why I'm so grateful. This is just me having my little like public moment of, you know, I've already had my little Facebook and social media posts and Instagram, but I'm just like very, very grateful for every human who has put energy and who will be still be putting energy into helping rebuild these Appalachian mountains that were hit by Helene and helping hold up the people. Like every worker who's working. I know, you know, every truck driver, there's so many dump truck drivers that I have so much gratitude. They don't know how much gratitude I have because they show me that our mountains are going to get rebuilt. And all those people knowing how to drive their skid steers, all the people helping neighbors, whether you're just offering someone an ear to listen to or whether you're doing the actual physical labor, all of it, like all of those hands and people, I just want to say a wonderful and gratitude, great big gratitude, thank you. My mind keeps spinning because I'm like there's so
And
many people and organizations, whether private, public, government, anything. There's a lot of layers that has been going on here, and for those that have come in or have sent help, I really am grateful. Thank you.
basically, anyone who's done anything to help and help the people, God
Yeah.
bless you, and I hope you receive all the blessings in this life.
Yeah. Love, bless.
Yes.
Thank you. And thanks, Greg, for giving me the trust and appreciation. Like, thanks for
Yeah.
appreciating the way that I present what I presented since Celine. And thank you for trusting me enough to come on this podcast and share my experience and what I've seen.
No, I really appreciate it because I've spent a lot of time in these areas and I have a deep love for them. So
Yeah.
like to be on the outside, having no idea what's going on there and thinking about how and to see all of the country move on in such a, just it is the whole thing has had me unsettled for this entire time. So I am
Yep.
incredibly grateful for you, the work you're doing, kind of showing me, you're like a pair of eyes that's showing all these
Yeah.
people from the outside, here's what's going on here. Here's the beautiful things, here's the reality.
Yep.
And I know I'm grateful for everything you're doing and it's wonderful. And I hope, hope a bunch of good things come to you and your family and I hope you keep doing everything you're doing. And
Thank you so much. Yeah, we all can just play our parts as we can. And I think that's something that I've witnessed throughout this is that we can't all be we can't all be that physical person or we can't all be the person driving that skid steer, but we all can show up in the ways that we can show up. And so I'm grateful that my need for information and everything and the way that I've been able to share it and help has
well,
reached
that's the truth, right?
people.
Like God gives us all different skills, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm decent at talking and I can almost write, So
You're
it's like
definitely right.
right. I can't drive a semi truck.
Right.
Like we,
Fair.
do the work that calls you that you're good at, that you're passionate about, that you can do day in and day out and do your part in the ways you can with what you have. And that's the best we can do. And all of us together, it adds up, right? Like it takes a village to raise a child and, to rebuild a city. I mean, it's going to take the whole country, but, pray
Yeah.
for the people of Asheville.
You.
Do what you can, pay attention to the story,
Yep.
talk to people, think about it, and also, be prepared, right? Like it doesn't make you a end of the world prepper. It is a good idea to just have a certain amount of food in your home, like for the sake of your family, your children. Just,
And a little bit of cash too, y'all. You don't know how big cash played a part into this,
ooh,
but
that's
it
a
was
whole other
so
thing, right? Like
necessary.
if the
Sorry, side note.
power's out, your debit card's worthless,
Yep.
right? Like
Mhm.
cash, it goes back to like I need something tangible that you can
Mhm.
you can trade for gasoline, bottles of water,
Yeah.
cash.
And I don't think this is something for, I think this just brings awareness around like preparedness for a lot of things. A lot of this is a global, was considered a global climate haven. And
Mm.
for something like this to happen in a climate haven, it really brings to question, like where is
Like
safe?
nowhere's off limits from some kind of
Yes.
emergency. I mean, and it could be anything wherever you are. It could be tornadoes, earthquakes, but you never know when the power might go out for a couple days and you may not have anything except what you have in your home right now. And
Yes.
canned foods
Mhm.
last forever if the packages are not damaged. So
Yeah.
having a month worth of food does not make you a doomsday prepper, does not make you
Mhm.
paranoid, does not mean you're preparing and excited for the end of the world. It just means
Yeah.
that like in your lifetime, there's a chance something might happen, and for the sake of your family, you're kind of just ready for whatever life may throw at you. And there's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with that. It's a good idea. It's very wise.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
Firmly
So
agree. Thanks for saying that.
yes, no, I was like, oh, there's so much more. I mean, honestly, like
Definitely.
there's so much to dig into. But I hope for everyone watching, I hope this has been informative, helpful. Um,
Thank you
I hope
all.
you're feeling motivated, inspired, and so Emma, I want to make
Yes.
sure because you're an artist, you've got
Yes.
your own, endeavors and businesses. Where can people look for you, find you, this kind of stuff?
Aw, thanks. So yes, performance artist, dancer, model, actress, and you can find me on Instagram at Emma Dubin Model. And then you also can find me on YouTube at Dancing with Dubin. We'll put both of those links in our just in the description.
Yes.
One's, I look at the human form as art, and that's part of what I do as a model and as a muse, is just to celebrate this human form and to help promote self-love. And my dance stuff is very much about that, just self-love and self-care and really highlighting the different techniques and deliciousness that there is in the dance world, because there's a lot.
I have really quick, not to cut you off. I have a saying in one of my books. It was like, people feel need to feel understood, and like perhaps it's only through our songs and dances, novels, poems, and plays, paintings and sculptures that we'll ever truly know one another. And it
Yeah.
occurs to me that dance as an expression, like there are some things that cannot be put in words. There's some things that can only be sung. There's some things that can only be choreographed. So dance is a lovely art form. So and this will be the last thing, and I swear, and I just keep going, and this could keep going endlessly, and we might just keep making new Zoom links, but um,
What?
you're doing a dance sember thing,
Yes.
and it's very fun to watch. And what occurs to me is there's these shamans who will say, like, if you come to them and you say, I'm depressed, for example, like you're in South America, you go to your local shaman, hey, I'm depressed, I'm anxious. They'll be like, well, when was the last time you sung? When was the last time you danced? When was the last time you
Mhm.
moved? And you'll be like, well, I'm not doing those things because I'm depressed. And they might say, well, actually, you're depressed because you're not doing those things. And it is
Yeah.
a vicious cycle. So wherever you are right now, do a little shimmy, get a little movement. It's good
Yes.
for the soul.
It is good for the soul, 100%. And that's
Right.
why I do Dancember, is to help as we're going into those darker months, those colder months where, everything's more gray. Just
Yeah.
remind yourself to just move your body. And that movement could just be movement or it could lead you to dance. And, in that expression, you're just giving your body and I feel like my subconscious definitely comes into play when I'm dancing because I'm not
Like
mentally trying
intuitive,
to think so much. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's also because I'm a trained dancer for many years, but that's a that's my thing for the last few years. Dancember, it was brought to me by a friend, and it reminds us just to keep moving our bodies as we enter into the darker months.
We are soulful creatures having a human experience, not humans that happen to be conscious or something like that. But
Yeah.
smile
Yeah.
therapy works, dance therapy works. If you're not
Yeah.
feeling it, you do it anyway, and you will feel better, especially if you deal with that seasonal affective disorder. You don't like the clouds, you don't like the cold.
That's me.
Get your body moving. Your soul will thank you if you get your body moving.
Definitely. And even if it's only for 1 minute, even if it's for 30 seconds or 5 minutes or more, you don't actually have to put a time limit. Just put a song on that you feel inspired or you like and act silly, be creative, wiggle
Yeah.
jiggle, or actually like throw down and dance. There's really not a limit to how we can move or dance.
No,
It's really
there's
just societal limitations that we've accepted.
there's no wrong way to do it. But I would
There's
also
no wrong
recommend
way.
because human beings have very short memories.
Yeah.
Maybe write down in a journal if you're feeling terrible, write down in a journal and then do a little dancing and then right after. And then you can look at that and be like, oh, wait, yeah, this does work. And remind yourself because we need a lot of reminders in this life.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
beautifully said, Greg. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. I should write a book maybe one time. Maybe you'll read it. That'd be cool.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, so we can definitely, I'd love to do this again sometime. I'm totally open
Thank
to it.
you.
I had a blast talking with you. So
Thank you. Thank you for
yes.
having me on your podcast
Well, thank you
today.
for coming through. And I hope, we can do some good work through this podcast. So
I believe
hopefully,
so.
yeah, hopefully, create as much value as possible for anyone listening and for your community. So
Yeah.
that's the
Thank
goal. That's the
you.
goal.
Woo woo. Thank you.
You're
Thanks
very
everyone.
welcome.
Thanks for listening and listening to all our words and our shares. And I appreciate you, Greg, and just your heart and your just the purity of your soul. And
Well, I don't know about all that, but no,
hey,
I'll take it though. I'll take it. I appreciate it. And we
sorry.
do this soon. Do this again
I
soon.
think it's pretty pure. If someone's really wanting to get a real perspective on things and you're looking for the truth, I really appreciate that. So,
No, I'm trying to do the right thing and provide for my family while doing it. I want to create a situation where everyone wins. So I want to create a valuable show
yes.
and make it a business. And I don't know, it's what I want to do. But I think there are
Wonderful.
ways you can set up your life where everyone wins, and there's nothing wrong with that. So
I like that perspective. Heck yeah.
yeah, that's how animals live. That's how hummingbirds live and
Mhm.
bees. They're
Yeah.
doing their job, they're doing their work, but they're doing so much service as they're just doing what they're built to do and what they're good at. And I think human beings need to structure our lives in a similar way if we're gonna be happy and sustainable and do this all for the long haul with
Yeah.
good
And
vibes.
together, because we're one human race.
That is true.
We are one humans.
Yeah, no, we think we're all individual drops of water, but we are the ocean or
Yeah.
something like
Hmm.
this. So
Yeah.
anyway, Emma, this has been a pleasure,
Thank you
and
so
I hope you have a
much.
lovely rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone listening.
Okay.
All
Bye.
right, bye-bye.